Welcome. This is Cindy, the naturalist at Mirror Lake State Park. And today I'm going to be reading some campfire stories. The fire that you see here today is over at the amphitheater. And these stories are not scary. This is how Bear lost his tail. Back in the old days, Bear had a tail which was a proudest possession. It was long and black and glossy, and Bear used it to wave it around just so that people would look at it. Fox saw this. Fox, as everyone knows, is a trickster and likes nothing better than fooling others. So it was what he decided to play a trick on Bear. It was the time of the year when Hathor, the spirit of frost, had swept across the land, covering the lakes with ice and pounding on the trees with his big hammer. Fox had made a hole in the ice right near the place where Bear liked to walk. By the time Bear came by, all around Fox in a big circle were big trout and fat perch. Just as Bear was about to ask Fox what he was doing, Fox twitched his tail, which he had sticking through the hole in the ice, and pulled out a huge trout. "Greetings, brother," said Fox. "How are you this fine day?" "Greetings," answered Bear, looking at the big circle of fat fish. "I am well, brother, but what are you doing?" "I am fishing," answered Fox. "Would you like to try?" "Oh, yes," said Bear as he started to lumber over to Fox's fishing hole. But Fox stopped him. "Wait, brother," he said. "This place will not be good. As you can see, I have already caught all the fish. Let us make you a new fishing spot where you can catch many big trout." Bear agreed, and so he followed Fox to the new place, a place where, as Fox knew very well, the lake was too shallow to catch the winter fish, which always stay in the deepest water when Hathor has covered their ponds. Bear watched as Fox made the hole in the ice, already testing the fine fish he would soon catch. "Now," Fox said, "you must do just as I tell you. Clear your mind of all thoughts of fish. Do not even think of a song or the fish will hear you. Turn your back to the hole and place your tail inside it. Soon a fish will come and grab your tail and you can pull him out." "But how will I know if a fish has grabbed my tail if my back is turned?" asked Bear. "I will hide over here where the fish cannot see me," said Fox. "When a fish grabs your tail, I will shout. Then you must pull as hard as you can to catch your fish. But you must be very patient. Do not move at all until I tell you." Bear nodded. "I will do exactly as you say." He sat down next to the hole, placed his long, beautiful black tail in the icy water, and turned his back. Fox watched for a time to make sure that Bear was doing as he was told, and then, very quietly, sneaked back to his own house and went to bed. The next morning he woke up and thought of Bear. "I wonder if he's still there," Fox said to himself. "I'll just go and check." So Fox went back to the ice-covered pond, and what do you think he saw? He saw what looked like a little white hill in the middle of the ice. It had snowed during the night and covered Bear, who had fallen asleep while waiting for Fox to tell him to pull his tail out and catch a fish. And Bear was snoring. His snores were so loud that the ice was shaking. It was so funny that Fox rolled with laughter. But when he was through laughing, he decided the time had come to wake up poor Bear. He crept very close to Bear's ear, took a deep breath, and then shouted, "Now, Bear!" Bear woke up with a start and pulled his long tail hard as he could. But his tail had been caught in the ice, which had frozen over during the night, and as he pulled, it broke off. Whack! Just like that. Bear turned around to look at the fish he had caught, and instead he saw a very long, lovely tail caught in the ice. "Oh," he moaned. "Oh, Fox! I will get you for this." But Fox, even though he was laughing fit to kill, was still faster than Bear, and he leapt aside and was gone. So it is that, even to this day, bears have short tails and no love for Fox at all. And if you ever hear a bear moaning, it is probably because he remembers the trick Fox played on him long ago, and he is mourning the loss of his tail. Starfish Story. The starfish story is well known. I am not sure who wrote it, but here is my version. This story begins with a strong summer wind and a storm that blew in from the west. Ooh, went the breeze, and the feeling in your knees told you it was good time for a rest. But the very next morning, while your darling lay snoring, you went out to walk the shore, and the day's first light cast a wild sight. There were piles of driftwood and seaweed and more. Now thanks to low tide you slowed your stride through the watery, warm, shallow pools. You stopped to view the world around you, and then pranced a bit like a fool. You looked around and then to the ground and bathed in the warm morning glow, and from there to far were thousands of fish stars, putting on a beautiful. Now though you were covered in sand, you put one in your hand, but then noticed a distant man, and his movements were odd, like a dancing frog as he moved back from the water to land. Now you were an instant fan of this dancing man. He intrigued your curiosity, so you quickened your stride on the beach so wide to see who this man must be. As you approached, he first spoke, saying, "Good morning, hello, how are you?" "I am fine, young man, it's a beautiful morning, and may I ask, how do you do?" "My feelings are glad, but at the same time sad, to see what the storm has washed in." With that he fished for a star and threw it back far, like a wild bird on the wind. Startled, you asked with a wandering flash, "But why do you throw them back to sea?" "They're stranded on shore, and with the sun rising more, will soon be writing fish eulogies." "You mean to say that with the rising day these creatures will soon wither and die?" Plop went the splash, just the last, and another sailed through the sky. Now as you looked on at this pointless pawn, you said, "This task is futile at best. There are miles of beach, most out of reach. You can't possibly pick through this mess. There's just no way, with only an hour till day, that you'll be able to make a difference." With that he bent down with a smile, then a frown, then a smile, and started to make sense. "You might be right, not to try your own might, but why not give it a try? It's fun. And as you throw, he told you, but you knew that you'd make a difference to that one." Just a hike in the woods. A guy is going on a hiking vacation through the mountains out west. Before setting off into the boonies, he stops into a small general store to get some supplies. After picking out the rest of his provisions, he asks the old store owner, "Say, mister, I'm going to hike up the mountains and I was wondering, do you have any bears around here?" "Yup," replies the owner. "What kind?" asks the hiker. "Well, we got black bears and we got grizzlies," he says. "I see," says the hiker. "Do you have any of those bear bells?" "What do you mean?" the store owner asked. "You know," replies the hiker, "those little tinkle bells that people wear in bear country to warn the bears that they are coming so they don't surprise the bears and get attacked." "Oh yeah," replies the owner. "They're over there," he says, pointing to a shelf on the other side of the store. The hiker selects a couple of the bells and takes them to the counter to pay for them. "Tell me something, mister," the hiker inquires. "How can you tell when you're in bear territory anyway?" "By the scat," the old fellow replies, ringing up the hiker's purchase. "Well, how can I tell if it's grizzly territory or black bear territory?" the hiker asks. "By the scat," the owner says. "Well, what's the difference?" asks the hiker. What's the difference between grizzly scat and black bear scat?" "The stuff that's in it," replies the store owner. Getting a little frustrated, the hiker asks, "Okay, so what's in grizzly bear scat that isn't in black bear scat?" he asks, as an impatient tone in his voice. "Bear bells," replies the old man as he hands the hiker his purchases. Welcome to Mirror Lake State Park. My name is Cindy and I'm the naturalist, and I'm going to read you a campfire story called Sneakers. It's a funny story, not very scary. Only his mother and father called him Todd. To every scout in Eagle District, the name Todd suggested just one nickname, Toad, which Toad didn't mind at all. You see, Toad wanted more than anything else in the world to win the smelly sneaker contest. Toad's sneakers were smelly, no doubt of that, but the first year he entered the Indian Nations Council Great Smelly Sneaker Contest, he didn't even get third prize. The second year Toad entered the smelly sneaker contest, he worked hard all that year. He'd already learned from an Eagle Scout that not wearing socks mattered. By not wearing socks, Toad made his sneakers much, much smellier. In addition, Toad fudged on his showers. He turned on the water, he more or less got in the shower, and more or less washed most of himself, including his hair. He knew his mom and dad could tell the difference between the smell of clean hair and the smell of dirty hair, but they trusted him to wash his feet. Toad did not wash his feet, which helped the smell of his sneakers considerably. Still, that second year, Toad only got second place. Toad was bitterly disappointed. After the contest, he stood, sad and dejected, by a large garbage can. trying to decide if he should just chuck those second-place sneakers right in the garbage. "Hey, kid," called a hoarse voice from the other side of the can. "Hey, kid," the voice insisted. "Yeah?" said Toad. "How much you want to win that contest?" "More than anything," said Toad. "I know how you can win," the voice said. Toad peered around the garbage can where a big, skinny kid sat on the ground. "What'll you give me if I tell?" Without hesitation, Toad offered his brand new backpack, the thing he loved most, the one he'd worked all summer to earn the money for. He'd give the backpack. Toad offered it to the kid sitting beside the trash can. "Here's what you do," said the kid, and he whispered instructions into Toad's ear, and then he put a small vial into Toad's hand. "Thanks," said Toad. The kid stood up and shrugged. With a smile of pure delight, Toad offered the tall, skinny kid his backpack, but the kid turned his back. "Ah, keep it," was all he said. Toad raced home. The contest rules said you had to start the year with a clean pair of sneakers. So Scouts tried to cheat, but not Toad. He was sure he'd win. For in the vile essence of sneaker, foot sweat mixed with scrapings from the sneakers of the last 4 winners of the Indian Council's Great Smelly Sneaker Contest Grand Prize. Toad put the precious droplets into his new sneakers. The results were instant and made Toad's eyes water. All that year he went sockless and put plastic bags on his sneakers at night to keep the smell on, even though his parents made him put the sneakers outside. After a few days, at the next troop meeting, even his scoutmaster insisted that Toad's sneakers be left outside. Toad did as the scoutmaster said, first bagging the sneakers to keep the concentrated smell from getting diluted. Toad's dedication and hard work paid off. As the day of the Indian Nations Council Great Smelly Sneaker Contest grew closer, it was clear to all of the scouts that Toad would be the winner. The first judge, a new young assistant scoutmaster, approached Toad's sneakers. From more than a yard away, he began to retch. The second judge, an old, experienced scoutmaster, wiped his eyes, waved a group of papers in front of his face, and backed away from Toad's sneakers. The third judge, the district executive, took a whiff, grinned, and said, "Now that's more like it," and awarded Toad first prize. Toad was giddy with bliss. When the judges asked if he'd like to donate the sneakers to the Scouting Museum, Toad said no, he'd wear them home, he'd savor being champion. Off Toad went, right foot, left foot, wearing championship sneakers, ones you could smell from far away, right foot, left foot. Toad was a good long way from home when his left foot started to itch something awful right around his toes. But Toad did not stop to scratch. He went on, but Toad kept on walking. He walked, and the itch got to itching the whole sole of his right foot and then the whole sole of his left foot. But Toad kept on walking, without stopping to scratch until he got home, and the itching was terrible, clear up to his ankles. With a sigh of relief, Toad got home and reached down to take off his championship smelly sneakers. But when Toad took off the champion smelly sneakers and got ready to scratch, Toad discovered that his feet were gone.